Okay. Um, just so everybody knows, my name's Shane, Shane Campbell. I have been kind of the point of contact with PoolGuard in GLI, and I work here at GLI Pool Products. I am the design supervisor for all of our designers. And if you ever have any questions or anything like that, usually I'm the person that you're probably going to end up speaking to if Jason isn't able to give you an answer. And at the end of the video, I will get with Shauna, and she will probably be sending you out your codes and everything. And you can always get in touch with Jason for my contact information, and I will put my contact information in the chat box as well. Let me just go ahead and put in my email. Usually, my email is about the best way to get a hold of me. Um, to that pretty much any hour during the day. Phone, uh, if I'm able to get to it, I get to it. But if you shoot me an email, I'm usually able to get to it pretty fast. If you have something important, obviously contact Jason and he will conference a call into me and we'll get the situation taken care of for you right there. But what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about how to AB a swimming pool and the proper process. And we're just going to kind of touch on that a little bit. Has everybody that's in here AB'd a pool before? Yes. If you haven't, type no. Um, if you can't type, just unmute yourself and just go ahead and say yes. Okay, looks like, oh, great. Looks like the majority of you guys have done ABs before. So this will make it pretty simple. It's going to I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the things then, and it'll just give you a little bit more insight on how the ABs are done and why we ask for the information we ask for. After we go through that piece, we will do a walkthrough on how to use the AB My Pool app. I'll talk to you guys about how to set it up, how to enter everything in, and just kind of give you a brief explanation of what all the options are in it. Okay, so participant 3. All right, we'll go through it, and if you have any questions, just type them in there, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Presentation. Start off with just a simple rectangle. With you guys, Jason should have given you guys some reference material. If you think that the pool can be covered with a rectangle cover, what you want to do is you want to let Shauna know what size cover you want. Don't send pictures or any. Shauna will filter it, but what should happen is we don't want to see pictures or anything like that because it doesn't really follow our standards. But the only measurements we need are going to be your A measurement and your B measurement. For a rectangle pool, it's very simplistic. Lazy L's. These are kind of they're hard to measure. When you go out to a pool and you see a pool that looks like this, the best thing you could do in this situation is to A/B the pool. You don't want to have to go back out to a pool and get measurements, and that's usually what happens when people try to give us measurements like you see in front of you. Because if it doesn't kick perfectly right in this angle, and all these measurements aren't perfect, there's a possibility that this whole entire kick will happen awkwardly and your cover won't fit correctly. So the best thing you could really do whenever you see a lazy L pool, just go straight to ABs. Um, and with the AB My Pool program, you'll be able to see that thing plot out right by the pool whenever you're out there. Just a couple items you want to do whenever you are ABing a pool or whenever you're providing a custom cover. The best thing you can do is provide a sketch of the pool, and you can fill it out on our measuring form, which you can also access on our website at glipoolproducts.com. And I believe the measuring forms would have been given to you guys whenever you set up with us, and whenever you set up with PoolGuard, they probably would have forwarded you a packet of all the information. Um, you want to do a sketch of the pool showing any of the obstacles that will interfere with the cover. What that means is pretty much anything you guys are not going to cut out. You have a handrail or something like that that's going to stay there and you're not going to cut it out, and it's going to interfere with the cover. It's going to be within like 12 inches it's within 12 inches from the edge of the pool. You're going to want to let us know about it. Perfect example, this rock over here in this picture, that's obviously not going to be taken out. So you'd want to provide a sketch and just do a quick little sketch of that obstruction. It just makes it easier when we're able to see a sketch of the pool, and you're able to fill in all your measurements that way as well. If AB measurements are used, be sure that the location is shown on the sketch. Uh, you want to do that so that we give you the correct orientation of the pool. And that all necessary measurements for the pool, the steps, spa, planter, and obstructions such as raised walls, ladders, slide legs, etc. So like I said, if you have any kind of obstruction, just put a quick note on it. Pictures, you guys always send in pictures, so that's really not an issue. Pictures of the raised areas, the waterfalls, dive rocks, raised spas, anything that's a raised wall where we have to go up and over it, or we have to put some kind of cable system in the face of it. AB measurements, be sure that the distance from the A to B is provided along with the overall length and width checkpoints. Now, a lot of that information is automatically going to be, you're going to be forced to enter that information in the AB My Pool. And from what I'm aware, I think that you guys are, that is part of your process is going to be to use this AB My Pool for anything you AB. So it gives you a step-by-step process. It doesn't allow you to miss anything. So it helps out a lot so you guys don't have to go back out to the pools. Needed. You'll need obviously 100-foot tape. Bigger pools, you may need a bigger tape, but 100-foot should do it. Some metal tape measurers, 2 long screwdrivers, and I'll explain that here in a second. Chalk, grease marker, soapstone. That's just to mark the pool around, mark the pool around it. And pencils and sharpeners. That's just so you can write down all your measurements, but you'll be doing this digitally, so that may not even be necessary. The GLI measuring forms, and a camera or phone with a camera. A lot of this stuff, if you guys have already been out to these pools, already measured a couple, you already have this stuff. This is kind of just, we're reiterating what you already know. I believe a lot of you guys go out in pairs to do these pools. If that's the case, that's fantastic. It makes it a lot easier. If you do run into a situation where you have to do AB measurements by yourself, that's where the 2 long screwdrivers come into play. What you normally can do is you can take those screwdrivers, you can just drive them right into the ground. Any kind of stake really will work as well, and you just hook that tape right over top, right through that screwdriver, and it holds it in place for you as you're going around doing the measurements. It does obviously add a little bit more time when you're doing it by yourself, so having 2 people helps out tremendously. Basic rules for setting up your AB line and your AB pegs. What you want to do is you want to face the pool. So like if you walk up to the swimming pool and you're looking at the swimming pool, you always want your A to be on your left and your B to be on your right. A lot of times what happens is a customer will walk up to the swimming pool, they'll turn around so that the swimming pool's to their back, they'll put their A to the left and the B on the right. But when you're facing the pool, that's going to be flip-flopped. So you always want to make sure your A is on your left and your B is on your right when you're facing the swimming pool. And you want to have an AB line of a minimum of 15 feet. Ideally, you want it to be 2/3 the length of the pool. What that means is if you have a 30-foot pool, you want to take that AB line down the length of the pool, like obviously offset so it's not down the physical length of the pool, and you want to make it about 2/3 of the length. If it's 31 feet, make the AB line 20 feet. It'll be fine. If it's 35 feet, make the AB line 25 feet. I would highly suggest to keep your guys' AB lines a solid foot. It's just going to make it easier for you in case you forget to write it down or you forget to put it in. If you know it's a solid foot, it's really hard to forget it. If you always use the same AB line, it's either 20 or 25. It just makes it easier to remember down the road. And for your pegs, and you want to make sure that no part of that line is within 3 feet of any point to be measured. The measurements won't work out correctly. And we'll explain that further. That we have some images and stuff that kind of explains why we need the line 3 feet, at least 3 feet away from the pool. Marking your perimeter points. You can take a piece of chalk, soapstone, whatever you have available to you. And what you want to do is you just go around the swimming pool and you mark the points. Usually when I'm out there, I'll just eyeball it. We say approximately every 2 to 3 feet apart. If you have a tight radius, you're obviously going to want to make those points a lot closer. You may have to go a foot, you may have to go 6 inches. But whenever you're talking about a much larger radius or a much larger curve or even a long straight, you can spread those points out further. The way I like to explain it to people when I'm showing them how to do ABs is think of it like a giant game of connect the dots. If you were to put these points around this pool and you connected the dots, would it look like the swimming pool? Throw points on outside corners or distinct corners. So like for a let's just say a rectangle cover, or a freeform pool. It's a weird looking shape. It has a step on the side of it, and the step has distinct points. Every step has 4 distinct points. It has the 2 inside corners, then it usually has the 2 outside corners. You want to make sure you throw AB points to there. You don't want to skip over them. So it's an approximate 2 to 3. You don't have to go exactly 3 feet apart for every single one. Just eyeball it. To do an exact measurement apart, it's very, very time consuming, and you guys would be spending a lot more time than you need to take the ABs. And that's just kind of reiterating the information I just told you. No need to measure the distance between the points. On a straight run, you can spread your points out further and make a note of any important points you want to bring attention to or include on the sketch. Are sufficient to mark any corners. You want to mark where the corner begins, in the middle of the corner, and then where the corner ends. That's going to give you the shape of that corner then. Now, when I was talking about the AB line being at least 3 feet away from the pool, you want to think of that line as an infinite line. If you were to stand there and that line was just to go on forever, you don't want any portion of that pool crossing over that line, and you don't want any portion of that pool being within 3 feet of that line. You can see here, this is a perfect example. The ABs, this A point and this B point and the line itself, yes, it's all 3 feet away. But if I extend this infinitely, you can see the pool crosses over, and that makes your ABs, that's going to end up throwing this entire section off whenever you do your ABs. So I would say in a pool like this, I would make my I would probably make my AB line. It's down the overall length. This would be my A here, and this would be my B. If I stretch this line out infinitely, I'm not crossing over the pool or anything like that. So that would probably be a better solution instead of doing the AB line over here. This is just asking for problems. Okay, and this is just an example of where you would want to number some of the points. This is kind of a little overboard as far as where to put the numbers at. What they did is they AB'd around the perimeter, and you always want to go to the water's edge. You don't ever want to go to the outside of the coping or the or anything like that. You always want to go to water's edge. So you can they're all labeled to the water's edge. Now there's a retaining wall here between the spa. That is something that we need to know about because we're going to have to pad that area. Know the location of it. Really what people will do is they'll either put A and B points on the outside edges, or in this case, they did it down the center. Either or is fine. It doesn't matter. We just need to know what that looks like and the location of it so that we can pad it correctly. Now you can see they put a point right here on this inside. That's a distinct corner. If we skipped it, we would never know that that distinct corner is there. So it's very important that we have both of those. And then if you look back, see some of these AB points are going around the face of this rock. They actually brought points back beyond the rock itself. That lets us know where we can cut our cover back for information so that we can make the cover fit correctly. And here's just a sample sketch of that particular pool or of a pool itself. And it has the different obstructions. You can see here, here's a rock, and the rock between point 48 and 42 because that's how they sketched it. You got your step over here, you got another rock, and they also that. And then they gave us 3 cross measurements that we ask for are not used to which the cover is going to cost. They're used purely for confirmation that our ABs are plotting out to the measurements that you got. It's just verification that everything is working out and it is correct, so that when you get the cut, the fit. We need normally is just one down the width and one down the length. They actually gave us 3, which is fine. Any more than that is going to turn into overkill. So 3 is as I would go max. Whenever we did that meeting before, Frank, did the meetings before, that actually popped up a couple times. We had a different guy doing it. It will eventually go away. I believe it's some kind of connection issue between it. There you go. So whenever you do the measurements and we plot it out, this is what it's going to look like in AutoCAD. You can see we've got our cross measurements and everything plotted out. We got some lines here to indicate where that where those obstructions are at. This is a negative edge pool. Kind of pools, very complicated. The first one you come across, I would suggest possibly calling Jason or calling myself to help you explain how to do it. To do is you have to take 8 points, and you can see they actually put tape wall. Unfortunately, we do need these points along this retaining wall. And then we also need the points down here if this has to be covered as well. So these are very time consuming. I feel bad for you if you have one of these, but I would suggest to either call Jason or myself if you come across one of these for the first time. You won't see too many of them, but you'll never see one because just our luck, you'd go out next week and there'd be one right there in your face. But these are called negative edge pools, and they are a little bit more time consuming. One. Okay. So the safety cover measuring format for custom covers. You try to measure the overall length and the overall width of the pool, which is usually your cross measurements. Those points you want to measure to 2 existing points that you already have on the pool. That's why we consider them cross measurements. What we're actually going to do is we are going to go through the AB My Pool process. Information. Any questions on ABing a pool? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this.
Hey Shane, can you hear me?
Yes.
Quick, I couldn't type that fast, but on the Lazy L pools, the measurements on those. You go on an angle on that pool again for your AB measurements, like on the inside of the L?
That's a great question.
Your
Let's
AB
go
line?
back up to that image.
I want to interrupt you when you were going through. I figured I'd wait till the end of this section.
Yep, nope, that's not a problem. All right, so the question is, how would you lay an AB on this? Very good question. You actually have a couple different options. Let me turn the whiteboard on so I can do I'll show you guys kind of where I would place it. Clear that out. Okay, so one of the options is you could put your AB line down here like so. This being your B. Apologize for my handwriting. And that being your A. A's to the left, B's to the right when facing the pool. That's one option. Or you could come up here. This would be ideal down here. This is going to be one of those situations. If you have to go up here, go up here. And then this would be your A or B.
But where the first line you drew down at the bottom, where C6 is,
Yes.
that B isn't 3 foot off of that. It's over 3 foot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fine for it to be over 3 feet.
Okay, so it's a minimum of 3 foot.
Minimum of 3 feet.
Okay, so
you can be further away. You obviously don't want to be 50 feet away. but you can be further than 3 feet away.
Okay, so as long as from C1 to C6, you're 3 foot, it doesn't matter how much further the line goes beyond the C5, the distance between C5 and B.
Correct. Correct. The main thing is this line, if it was to extend infinitely both ways, you don't want any of this pool to be within 3 feet of that. If it's more than
Gotcha.
3 feet away, that's okay.
Gotcha. And then the top measurement you made between C2 and C4, you basically have that at the points 3 foot off the points of the pool.
Right. This line,
Right,
and
gotcha.
then if this was to stretch infinitely up here, pool is within 3 feet of this line. You want
Very
the
good.
entire line itself to be at least 3 feet away.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What ends up happening when you bring that, and I'll just kind of dive into this a little bit more. What ends up happening when you bring your line up close, all these is with a circle. We'll take a measurement here, a circle. We indicate the intersection point. And you can imagine as this line gets closer to the pool, these intersection points it's a much tighter tolerance. So if you're off just a quarter of an inch, it could literally throw your point 3 inches off. That's why we want it far enough away so that it creates a nice intersection point for us.
Gotcha. Okay, that answered that.
Yep, no problem. Let's go ahead and switch over to AB My Pool. Okay, now the one I'm going to be using, actually the Chrome app. Now with AB My Pool, like I said before, you have a couple different options. You can use it on an iPad, you can use it on an Android tablet, or you can use it on your laptop or any kind of desktop computer. I'm going to be using it on the desktop computer. The application, very, very similar on the other devices. As you're going through doing this, it may be beneficial to either record all of the information as you're taking it, like you're taking the ABs around the pool, and then come back and just retype them in. Or if you got a couple people with you, go ahead and type them in as they're yelling them out. So let's go ahead and pull this up, kind of give you guys a brief little introduction here. Okay, so this is the home screen. Really nothing crazy here, nothing that's going to give you any information. It's just the home. The next tab down, and this is all going to be touch screen. Whenever you're working on a tablet, you'll just, obviously hit it with your finger and everything. Down is your projects. That's where you're going to create your new liner project. You're going to create your cover project. Before you actually activate the program, all right, just give it a second, Frank. It'll pass here in a minute. Okay. Before you actually activate it, you're not going to get these options. What you have to do is you'll have to put the license key in, and I'll show you where to put that before you can get to these options. We'll come back to the projects here in a second. The next tab down is the My Accounts, and this is going to put in your information, where you want your quote to show up from. This may be a pool guard. This may be where you put pool guard. Any information in there, and you can talk to Shauna as far as how she would like you guys to fill that out. And then over here you have your units of measure. If you take all your measurements and switch it to inches, if you take all your measurements in feet and inches, you can have it at feet and inches. And then you can also go to the decimal digits. I usually like to keep it at 2. It really doesn't need to be any more than that. Pop-up keypad to enter measurements. Whenever you're using the app on a device, I would suggest this may be the option you want to do. If you need a keypad or your standard keypad that would pop up with your device itself with the numbers, you could do that as well. This is going to be where you put your license key. Like I said, as soon as you put that license key in, it'll allow you to start creating new projects. Tab. it's pretty much for you guys to utilize whenever you're out there in the field if you have a question. There's some how it'll actually take you to a reference of how to measure a pool. And there's a couple different YouTube videos you can check out. And then the how to measure a pool is pretty much what we just did, how I explained everything to you guys, is right here, explaining how to take all the measurements. So it'd probably be worth actually going through once you guys download and just taking a brief skim through this just to read all the information. I'm just going to go back. And then there's just obviously some other information, my homepage, just anything you may have a question on, a lot of it's going to be in here. So let's say we are at a pool and we've decided we want to go ahead and A/B a pool. What we're going to do is most of the time you guys are going to be doing safety covers. You guys won't really be doing liners too often, if any. To click on create cover project, and you're going to label the project name. Now with you guys, most of your pools that you get sent out to has a WI number. So for you guys to associate that WI number, and I'm just typing numbers here, with this pool because that's that particular project, or you could type the address as well. The next question it asks you, is this a replacement cover with existing anchors? What it's talking about there is sometimes when you go out to a pool, the pool may have had a safety cover on it before. If you look on the deck and there's anchors there, we can actually utilize those same exact anchors to make the new cover, where that will stop you from having to drill most of the anchors. If it is a replacement cover, and we are matching to existing anchors, you'd want to click that button. But if it has existing anchors, what you have to do is not only A/B the pool, you have to also A/B all of those anchors around the pool as well. These being replacement covers for foreclosures, I don't know if that is going to be something you guys ever really want to do or not. And then you just put in your customer ID, the customer name, and obviously the other information. And you can write a brief description as far as the pool goes. If there's something that's odd, it has a waterfall, something like that, you can write just a brief description there. If you ever need to delete it, home screen on the info, you can delete the project there. Then you just click on basics. It's going to take you to the next screen. Cover material. Every cover you guys order that is a foreclosure home, it's always going to be standard mesh, color green. We have a couple of different options as far as materials go here. If you ever get a retail customer where they'd like to order one, get a hold of Shauna, get a hold of Jason. They'll be able to explain the different materials for you as well. And then what colors we offer in them as well. Our freeform shapes are 3x3. I would suggest going straight to 5x5 for everything you guys measure out. We'll click on the little info button. And what that just is 3x3 is a tighter spacing, 5x5 is a much wider spacing. The 5x5 is cheaper, but we cannot do 5x5 on a lot of different shapes. Usually if you're A/Bing something, it may end up requiring it to be 3x3 anyways. And then we also have the A/B length. Now I just so happen to have points here that we will be able to put in, and I can show you guys what happens when we put those in. So this particular cover, this particular pool has an 18-foot A/B line. You got your B here. Let me just kind of zoom in there a little bit. And it's an 18 feet between A and B. So over here, when I click in here, I'm using my keyboard on my laptop. Whenever you click in there with a device, it's probably going to pull up the native keyboard that's on your device. And what you would want to do is you 18 and then the foot mark, 18 feet. Now, I believe if you type 18 tab, it's going to try to put it in inches. 18, and that 18 feet. And then it's asking the next question, AB line does not cross any part of the pool. Nope, we made the AB line far enough away. Work into the next column here now. Now over here is the features and obstacles. You can add features, you can remove features. Usually the standard features that are pretty much what you need. The main one you guys are going to be using is the pool feature. And we'll just show you what happens when you click on it. It takes you into, you can label the feature name. Say it's not a, let's say it's not a ladder. Let's say it's that you just can't take out. We want the color of that fill spout to be navy blue whenever it plots out. And the line type is going to be open. That means it's only a point. It's not closed or anything like that. It's just one point that you need to let it. It changes it here. So this will just kind of lays out your key for any obstructions or anything like that. Just kind of gets everything set up for when in the AB data. And that's what we're going to go to right now. So it starts you off with the image over here to the left. You got your A and your, now up here, we can type in pool, step, spot, spa, fill, spout. We pick in what we are currently ABing. Normally, you're not going to need to include step because the step's going to be included with your ABs that you're going around the pool with. So the majority of the time, you're just going to have to use pool. And what you have over here is you have your A distance and your B distance and the current point you're working on. And then it also gives you a keypad you can use on your device. I'm actually going to type this in using my keyboard on my computer. It makes it just a little bit faster. Please get this so I can read it. Okay, so the first one we're putting in, it says point number 1 for A, 13 feet, 11 inches. Now, you have a couple options. You could type it in 13 feet, 11 inches, and tab, and it'll show up as 13 feet, 11 inches. Or you could also do 13 space 11, tab. It'll put it in there for you as well. I myself like to put in 13, 11, 13 space 11. It seems to work out a little bit better for me, especially when I'm using a keyboard on my computer. So I'm going to type in the next one. And you can see over on the screen here, it actually plotted that first point for us. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to keep typing these in. And as we're going, you can see as I'm going, it's plotting these points out for us. So as you're A-Bing the pool, you're going to get, it's going to show you what it looks like. So when you're done A-Bing this thing, there's no question in your mind, this pool is correct. It looks the way it should. My ABs are working. And those are the exact ABs that we're going to use whenever we manufacture the cover. So like you guys were talking about earlier, going to stop you from having to go out to a pool more than once. And if you're driving 2.5 hours to get to a pool, that is the last thing you want to do, is to have to go back out and get new measurements. So this gives you the power right at your hands, right poolside, so that you know you're not going to have to come back out to the pool. So I'm just going to continue typing these, and I actually want to put this whole thing in here so that we can walk through this. So just bear with me. Okay. So you can see I actually just typed in the wrong number. So I put in the wrong number, you can see my point just went way up here. So that's instantly telling me I put something in wrong. So I can go back to it and I can click in that box, click on the point itself. You can see what I'm on, it's highlighting it. The point in question is number 16. Right off the top, just looking at it, that I put in the wrong number here. So I can replace this. Did it again. And it fixes that point for us. Sorry guys, just bear with me. Okay, so there is this pool plotted out. It kind of looks to the sketch. We're assuming that we're at the pool and we're looking at the pool right now. So you would be at the pool and you'd look at this and say, yeah, looks like the pool. I need to verify if it's actually measuring out correctly. So here is where you would also put in, like any other AB points. Say you took AB points to that fill. You would switch over here, and I'm just going to pick a random number here, 24 or 13. You can see it placed it. Well, I did that under the spa. Should have did that under the fill spout. Delete, delete. Let's go to the fill spout. We'll do 23, 13. Place that in here for us. And I'm just making the image a little bit bigger. Now I just picked some random numbers, but you can see that it placed it in a different color. So that lets us know that's for the fill spout. So I'm going to remove that though, because that doesn't really apply for this one. Questions with that so far? with inputting that information at all. Okay. All right, I'm going to take that as a no. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. You're done. Now that your pool's plotted, everything looks great. We'll go to extras. Now it's going to ask you a couple questions. The deck, full 3 feet of deck around all sides of the pool. We're going to say yes. Now, what I would suggest is if you don't have enough deck or you've got some weird things going on and you want to provide a sketch, I highly recommend it. The nice thing with that, what you can do, and then take a picture of it with your phone, with your iPad, with your whatever you have that you can make a digital image. Take a digital image of that you just did, and there's a section in here where you can add image files. This is also going to be where you add your pictures. Also indicate what kind of deck you have. This particular one, we're going to assume it has concrete, but you have the options of ground, pavers, wood, other combination. If you have a combination, you just type in a description of what you got. And that's whenever an image would help out, because then you could tell us, where does it need wood deck? Where does it need concrete? And you'd be able to give us an idea of where we should be putting those. A lot of times the pictures will explain that as well. We're going to just pick concrete. You can pick aluminum, brick, concrete, plastic. We need to reinforce it with padding, or if we need to put some kind of different kind of bumper guards on it. With aluminum coping, what ends up happening with lifting straps, it'll rub against the aluminum coping and cause black marks all around the pool. Probably not something you guys are going to be concerned with, just because, like I said, this is a foreclosure home. But if you were doing a retail customer, you'd want to pick what kind of coping they have. Steps, we're going to ignore this because our steps were included with the ABs. I always suggest include your steps with your ABs whenever you're taking the measurements. It just makes it easier. It takes all the guesswork out of it. And if you're already going around the pool, it's just going to make it a little bit in your head instead of trying to skip things. Now, we need to verify that the measurements we just put in there and the measurements that you guys were taking match up correctly. Cross measurement 1, color, we'll leave it at gray. We went from point 18 to point 40, and it came out 24 feet 6 inches. So I'm going to put 24 feet 6 inches because that's the measurement I got. Existing points. Now you have a couple different options. You have AV point, where you're putting in a new point. I would say always take your cross measurements to existing points. You have your features. You have AB, you got pool, you got cross measurements. These are all the different that you have added. This particular one, we want the cross measurements to be on the pool feature. So I'm going to go to pool. And by going to the pool, it's a list of all the different points we put in. Measurement from go to point 18 to point 45. So I'm going to go over here. Do the same. I'm going to pick pool. Point 45. You'll hit back. Measurement 2. We'll do the same thing, but for the second cross measurement. Our overall width was from 3 to 35, and it was 10 inches. Existing point. The pool is the feature. 3 to 35. And then we'll hit back. Cross measurements. Now, once you've done all that, you can now hit review. All right, so this is where it's going to show you any kind of errors or anything like that. If something wasn't filled out correctly, if something didn't work. Now, we are getting some warnings. Now, the reason we're getting warnings is because we had unnecessary features. So what I'm actually going to do go through and I'm going to each one of these features that I don't need. And I'm just going to the feature itself, and down here, I'm just deleting it. Slide for the raised wall. Because the main goal is to make sure you don't have any of those warnings. All right, so now we're down to 2 warnings features out. The pool outline checkbox on the review page has not been checked. Oh, we didn't do this up here. Pool outline matches the pool orientation and is not mirrored. So we're looking at the pool, everything looks right. Or you run into a situation where you're looking at the pool and you put all those measurements in. Wait, what do I do? Well, we're going to swap our AB measurements. It will completely flip the thing for you. The main thing is you want this image you're looking at. Right now, this image looks like the pool you're looking at. So we're good. So we're going to say yes, the orientation is correct. Now it says the following AB points cannot be calculated for the pool feature. 23, 29, 39, and 43. So I put the points in wrong. So I'm going to go back over here to AB data. 9 plot outright. All right, and that's the number I had written down. Now, if you come across one of those, what I would suggest, take that measurement again and edit that measurement. So I would want to edit whatever measurement it was that got done wrong so that it's corrected, because that particular point isn't really plotting out correctly. Like I said before, the main goal is you do not want to have any of those warnings. And then you can just type, any kind of additional comments you have or anything like that. And then all you do, you can view the report real quick. I don't have all of my stuff set right now, so this project. Once you have your distributor and everything set up, you can view the report. It gives you a summary of everything you have, all your different measurements, everything like that. You can just simply send the report, and that will send to Shauna. And I believe it's supposed to be sent to us as well. You'll have to get with her again as far as how they want the process to be with the information that's being sent. Basically how you enter the information. Now, those cross measurements that we did, if they didn't work, it would come up with an error here. So it would say your cross measurements aren't working. We're not getting an error. So since we're not getting an error, that means our cross measurements were within tolerance. The program uses a 4-inch tolerance. If it's within 4 inches of what you measured, as far as what it actually calculated, then you're okay. Go back to the very beginning now, and that project is now saved in there, constantly saving the program for you. So if I ever need to go back to it and edit something, I can go right into there. Questions? All right, if you guys don't have any questions, that pretty much sums up the program itself. Like I said, I would get in touch with Shauna. She'll be able to give you the licensing key. Also, you can download it on Google Play for your app. For Android devices, you can also download it on the iTunes Store. The program is free, or you can download it on your desktop. I suggest maybe, playing around with it a little bit before you actually go out to the field and try to mess with it out there. Kind of get comfortable with it so that when you do get out to the field, you know what you're doing. Whenever people are calling out numbers, you're able to put them right in and you're ready to go. But that's all I got for you guys. If you don't have any questions, thank you for coming. And like I said, I will send this video out to everybody, and Jason will be able to follow up with you guys, okay?
Thanks, Shane. One last question. When you said this sends out to Shauna after we're done loading everything, pictures and everything we can load onto this?
Yes, the pictures you're going to load onto it, all of that stuff will send out to Shauna as well.
Right,
I don't know their process too much as far as what kind of information that they want to see in this program going over to them, or even if they need to. The main pictures that we have to look at here at Eli are just of the pool. We just need about 3 or 4 pictures of the pool itself so that, we can make some judgment calls internally if we need to.
But do these pictures go through the Dropbox, or they actually go into this software when it's sent?
They go through this software being sent. Like
Okay.
on this project here, I could add an image file, and what it's going to do is it's just going to pick want to pick, attach with it. And then as soon as I attach it, this for example, attaches right in there. And then I can add another image and it will send program whenever it's forwarded out.
So when I take a picture with my phone camera, I got an iPhone, I could send those pictures laptop, and then from my laptop I have to enter it into the software. Is that how it works?
What will happen is the application itself will access any pictures you have on your like let's say you're doing this with a tablet, and you took the pictures with the tablet, because I think most of the tablets now have cameras on them and stuff like that.
Right.
If you take a picture with the tablet and you go to add image file, it'll access any pictures you have on that tablet. You double click on it, it'll bring it right in. You don't have to put it in a laptop, forward it off anywhere. It'll access
Right.
any pictures you have internally.
Good. All right, Shane, greatly appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, email me. Get in touch with Jason. He'll get in touch with me. But that's all I got. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, Shane.
What I thought he said, yeah.